Welcome back to Primetime News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com.
A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading a One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the word Spot and Media.
There is a development this evening concerning the latest viral video on social media showing a mother beating her child.
The police will decide if the case involving the Westmoreland woman should be referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP.
State Minister in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Floyd Green, has also weighed in on the matter. TVJ's Andrea Chisholm reports.
A 6-minute and 12-second video of a mother beating her child on a carpet, hitting her in the head and other parts of her body while telling her not to waste time at school.
Her child is no more than 4 years old. How in God's name can you convince a child that they're doing something wrong at 4 by using a belt to beat them mercilessly?
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency and the Police Cybercrimes Unit have located the mother in Westmoreland. Counseling has also been arranged for the child.
The child and the family, we have intervened and the child is safe. And we will be doing what we need to do under the Child Care and Protection Act. Because we don't like to say it, but some of these things, they are crimes. It is not discipline, it is abuse.
So how will the police handle the matter?
So far, they have collected statements. They have collected some other device, the device to be used as part of evidence in the event there is a charge. And when I spoke with the detective, they were contemplating in putting together the file, whether to submit a file to the DPP or to see how they will proceed. But they have not made that final determination yet because they are still gathering statements, etc. But the investigation is going on.
In a release on Monday, the Legal Aid Council said it has provided an attorney for the mother. That lawyer should be present when she is being questioned by investigators. In the meantime, Mr. Green insists that corporal punishment is not an appropriate disciplinary tool. He says it promotes violence as a means of settling disputes. Parents were also reminded that verbal abuse is equally damaging.
And if you're preaching that they're no good, that they'll never amount to nothing, that them fool, it is creating a scar that we will one day have to fix. So we should stop it. Let us preach positivity into the lives of our children.
Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Children's Advocate, OCA, has launched 3 manuals to promote the responsible use of social media among children, teenagers and adults. The manuals, done in collaboration with the United Nations Children's Fund, are called Be Social, Be Smart. Children were told how to navigate cyberbullying, for example, and parents were told how to spot warning signs.
We speak about, for example, when you see there's withdrawal from family and friends, the internet usage becomes more increased at odd hours of the night. They seem sleep deprived. Switching off screens whenever you enter the room. Set rules. Talk about sexting, for example. Explain the big picture so that they can connect the dots.
Children were also told to use social media responsibly.
Nothing you do on social media is private. No matter if, like Snapchat, it disappears after you send the message. No matter if your story only lasts for 24 hours, it never goes away.
The opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is taking issue with the length of time it's taking to complete work at Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the deadline for the completion of the work will have to be pushed back, but he's unable to say when it will now be finished. However, Dr. Campbell says that is unacceptable and he's calling for the Health Minister to do more. TVJ's Shamela Mitchell reports.
disappointed.
I believe it has taken way too long, and I believe that the people of Western Jamaica deserve better.
Opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, not satisfied with Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton's handling of the Cornwall Regional Hospital matter. The problem at Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James started in September last year after health workers at the facility complained about feeling sick. An investigation was carried out and it was discovered that noxious fumes were coming from a ventilation unit, which was causing persons to get sick. This forced the health ministry to shut down sections of the facility. Some services, staff and patients were relocated to nearby health facilities. But it's been a year and a little over a month now, and persons are still being inconvenienced. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the deadline set for the first quarter of next year has been pushed back further. Dr. Tufton says he cannot give a specific time when the work will finish. But Dr. Campbell thinks the Health Minister needs to do better.
The fact of the matter is that the state that it is currently in, it leaves a lot to be desired.
Dr. Campbell says he continues to get reports of persons sitting and waiting under tents. Some even died while waiting. He said persons are frustrated and are tired of being moved around to the various areas to access critical services. He also criticized Dr. Tufton for his overall performance in the sector.
I think he's doing a good job at running. He just needs to run down to the hospital and get some work done.
In response, Dr. Tufton says public health is a challenging portfolio. He says the ministry is not a medical practice, and so it is more complicated to operate than what Dr. Campbell would want to think.
I fully appreciate that he's new, while he's a medical doctor, and therefore should have an appreciation for these things. I don't think he has been fully briefed.
The health minister also said that he is willing to tour the facility with Dr. Campbell so that he can see firsthand the work that is now taking place.
Because in fairness, Horace Daly, who toured the facility, who was before him, of course, understood the issues sufficient to make reasonable demands.
Shamala Mitchell, TVJ News.
There are more calls for the government to reconsider its wage offer to public sector workers. This with public sector workers rejecting the government's offer of a 6% wage increase over 2 years. At the recent Jamaica Teachers Association JTA half-yearly meeting, Opposition Senator Damien Crawford suggested that coming to a favourable agreement for teachers will help address most of society's ills, since educators play a key role in shaping the next generation. Mr. Crawford, who is a former teacher, says the salary being offered does not encourage the best teachers to stay in the profession.
2016. There's no way me go back to one Suzuki Swift. So if you want the best people, if it is your priority to get 1 degree per household, then just like how we both say every school have the best coaches, and so we are win Olympics. If we are going to win the knowledge Olympics, then every school must have the best teachers.
He says in addition to academics, teachers play several other roles, including guidance counselors, therapists and parents, adding that these should be considered when a pay package is offered.
Because when I used to teach, some youth come to me, boss, me I lock off the ends, and then me have to convince him not to lock off the ends. You don't pay me for that yet. When a girl come and say her uncle touch her, you don't pay me for that yet. Me have to now get the skill for say no kill yourself, make me report it, you don't pay me for that. When them beg me lunch money,
He says the wage offer should not only reflect remuneration for the critical roles, but also be an incentive to get and keep the best teachers in the classroom.
Some classes were suspended this morning at Hillside Primary School in Islington, St. Mary, after thieves broke in and ransacked the school on Sunday night. Grades 4 and 6 classes at the school resumed late this morning. However, all other classes were called off to facilitate a police investigation. Rain also affected classes as the thieves removed some of the windows, leaving classrooms exposed. Acting Principal Phyllis Miller says the school has been hit by thieves in the past.
And we're at wit's end at what exactly we are supposed to do going forward.
She says calls had been made for a perimeter fence and a watchman, but nothing has been done.
All those louvers, missing louvers, are points of entry. That was where they went in Tuesday night. ransacked teachers' cupboard, took out what they chose to take out, and they left the door open. To how the school is situated, we don't have anybody. Once persons come around this side, it is very hard to detect that someone is on the compound if we have no services.
A top story this evening, guilty, Ninja man convicted for murder. And still ahead, overload. Health Ministry says people still crowding public health hospitals instead of using health centres. And in business news, up for sale, Jamaica could go on the auction block to help parent company pay debt. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Continuing the news. Dancehall entertainer Desmond Ballantyne, more popularly known as Ninja Man, was today found guilty of the March 2009 murder of Ricardo Johnson. The 51-year-old DJ and his two co-accused were convicted of murder, and Ninja Man was convicted of the additional charge of shooting with intent. TVJ's Giovanni Dennis was at the Supreme Court for the verdict.
Ninja man a ninja, no Suzuki, no Katana. Ninja man a ninja, me a no police, me a no soldier, me a the general, me a no push over.
8 years of saying he was innocent, but today a 7-member jury decided otherwise. Dancehall entertainer Desmond Ballantyne, more popularly known as Ninja Man, was found guilty of murder and shooting with intent. Ninja Man was convicted for the murder of Ricardo Johnson, who was shot and killed on March 17, 2009 at his yard in Lower Mall Road in St. Andrew. The DJ was jointly charged with his son, 24-year-old Janeel Ballantyne, and Dennis Clayton. Both co-accused were also found guilty of murder. The three men denied participating in the 2009 shooting incident. Ninja Man, who also goes by the alias Don Gorgon or Gorgon, was represented by Queen's Counsel Valerie Nita Robertson, who was in no mood to speak to reporters after the verdict.
Your reactions, miss, your reactions.
Prosecutors Kathy Ann Pike, Nicholas Edmond and Odine Williams reported that Ninja Man was among 4 men who entered a yard and fatally shot Mr. Johnson following a domestic dispute the day before.
Out of that, threats were issued, and the following morning, on the 17th of March 2009, Desmond Ballantyne, his son Janeel Ballantyne, and Dennis Clayton returned to the scene. Dennis Clayton returned with some men who had boards and bats, and I believe he had a cutlass. Desmond Ballantyne and Janeel Ballantyne were seen just before the shots were fired with guns.
The main prosecution witness, who testified that he escaped the attack, told the jury that the entertainer fired 2 rounds at him. The witness went into hiding and is now under the witness protection program. Ninja Man and his 2 co-accused are to be sentenced on December 15. As he left the court after the verdict, Ninja Man said, "I just saw it go, man." Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
3 females, including a mother and her daughter, were shot and killed in Cambridge, St. James between Saturday night and Monday morning, while in Westmoreland 2 persons were also shot and killed Monday morning in separate incidents. The latest killing in Cambridge took place at about 11 this morning. 17-year-old Roxanne Daly was killed while walking with a male companion on MacLeod Road in the community. 44-year-old Anne-Marie Johnson, her 24-year-old daughter Shantoy Mackenzie were also killed in Cambridge on Saturday night. TVJ News understands that Ms. Johnson and her daughter were killed after they were reportedly labelled as informers. The others killed are 51-year-old Pauline Bremer and 31-year-old Randy Russell. They were killed in Westmoreland. The police say Mr. Russell was found at the Negril Fishing Beach at about 5 on Monday morning in a pool of blood after residents reported hearing gunshots. The police say he had been on their radar in recent times. And a few hours before that, about 12:30 a.m. in Little London, Mr. Bremer was found with multiple gunshot wounds. 284 persons have been killed in St. James and 130 killed in Westmoreland since the start of the year.
Despite the extension of opening hours at some health centres, authorities in the Ministry of Health are reporting that people are still crowding public hospitals even when they don't need to. TVJ's Shamela Mitchell brings us the first in a two-part primetime news special, Emergency Room Overload.
Emergency rooms at hospitals across the country are bombarded by patients, many with simple ailments that could easily be treated at their local clinic. Over time, many Jamaicans have come to see the hospital as the place to go once they feel ill. As far as Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is concerned, these are the fundamental challenges why there is overcrowding at hospitals.
So one of the problems that we have between primary and secondary healthcare, meaning the health center and the hospital, is that many Jamaicans see the hospital as a one-stop shop because they think they can go there and access everything.
In 2016, 1.56 million persons visited health centers across the island, with another 669,000 visiting accident and emergency departments at hospitals. The health ministry believes many of the nearly 700,000 patients could be handled at a local clinic.
I remember we did an annual audit, one of the normal there, and we are looking at, as it could be a good 60% of our non-emergent services in the accident and emergency can be managed at the health center.
I didn't know that the doctor was over there. I checked his uncle just cut them deal over there.
Well, some people go to hospital because when you go, then have your amount of things to yourself. So when you go to hospital, or you take long to get you out there. So I don't have equipment out there, so I wouldn't go there.
In April last year, the ministry extended opening hours at health centers that are close to major public hospitals in select parishes across the island. But of the over 300 health centers in Jamaica, only about 5 that we have counted have extended the opening hours. Those are in Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Kingston and St. Andrew, and Clarendon. Senior Medical Officer at the Mapen Hospital in Clarendon, Dr. Bradley Edwards, says they still see people coming to the facility with illnesses like diabetes and hypertension that could have been easily treated at the health centers. Take, for example, the health center on the Mapen Hospital premises. The opening hours there were extended to 10 p.m.
The commitment is to 10 o'clock, so they have to be reasonable. You know, if they have,
what
they would just explain to them, we can't see any more persons after this number. So, you know, if you really need to be seen today, would advise to go back to the hospital.
But other hospitals have not extended their opening hours as yet, and so they're still seeing an increase in the patient load.
Just simple cough and cold, fever, control of diabetes and hypertension, stuff that really are chronic, of a more chronic nature that the health centers should be able to manage in. I mean, we've even had patients come in for ear syringing because of wax impaction.
If your pressure too high, they send you to the hospital. If you're sick with your heart, they send you to the hospital. Or if your sugar too high, they send you to the hospital.
The only reason why a health center should send a person to the hospital from the health center is if they determine, having examined them, the doctor, nurses, that the person needs emergency or particular types of treatment or care that the health center doesn't offer.
Join us tomorrow when we look at the impact the influx from health centers to hospitals is having on some of these facilities. Shamela Mitchell, TVJ News.
Another demonstration protesting bad road conditions was staged this morning, this time in the Fairfield Road community of St. Catherine. Residents say the road, which leads to the Friendship Primary School, has been in need of repair for almost a decade. They took to the streets following an incident in which 2 students were hit by motorists trying to navigate the pothole-riddled road and fell into a drain. TVJ's Herman Green has that story.
They used the usual items, tree limbs, stones, whatever debris could be found to block the main road to the community. Residents of Fairfield in St. Catherine on Monday say taking such action seems to be the only way to get the authorities to take note of the poor roads they have to use.
We're tired of this a long time and we can't take it no more. Because we picnic them and get licked down by bicycle and all kind of stuff.
So how long since the road have been in this?
About 10 years.
The roadblocks hindered students and teachers from getting to the Friendship Primary School. But while they were not a part of the protest, The school population say they understand the frustration. That frustration stems from the most recent incident in which 2 students were hit by a vehicle trying to avoid the potholes.
The car will actually lick down the child. I make the 2 people them I make them drop in the gutter. Mud up, we have to wash them off.
When this incident took place?
Last week Wednesday.
Principal of the Friendship Primary School, Collington Powell, says since he's been at the school for the past 5 years, he's received several reports of similar incidents.
There's no sidewalk really, and what's left of it, the cars have to be using it. So our children are in clear and present danger. There have been a few cases of near misses.
They believe that if something is not done soon, one of these near misses will turn fatal, which is why they are making demands for the roads to be fixed. Mr. Powell says since the protest on Monday, promises have now been made to address the problem.
I received call from a few persons in authority informing me that some contract would have been signed a few days ago, and by Christmas certainly we should be enjoying better facilities, but that's left to be seen.
Herman Green, TVJ News.
To a primetime news follow-up now on the people living in communities which have the word pen in their name and why they are calling for the word to be removed. This appeal after Councillor for the Loidas Vale Division in St. Catherine, Hugh Graham, suggested at a recent meeting of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation that pen be replaced in the name of communities with gardens or meadows. TVJ's Kalisha Williams has that story.
Several communities across the country have inherited the word pen in their names, dating back to a time when the country was a colony. History even suggests the communities were so called from the days of slavery and had attachments to when the areas were used to house animals. It's why the councillor for the Loidas Vale Division, Hugh Graham, called for the word to be changed. When TVJ News visited some of those communities in St. Catherine on Monday, the people were receptive to having the name changed.
You know, many people, if you go down on the road, many people say they don't really want the pen to change. Because when you give name Caesar Garden, I use it at different places and it don't look no way.
We can't invite enough people down here, so. Maybe good man and bad, and so you come to march around, have a nice day and then gone. So I left in and suffer by the name. I community. Simple. So changing the thing, me up to it.
Sonia MacDonald has been living in March Pen for over 10 years. She thinks other socioeconomic conditions in the community also need attention.
If we need some help from MP, councillor, what they call him Prime Minister, everybody, nothing are going for down here, so.
Gordon Pen is just one of several communities calling for a name change. For outsiders, living here may be a simple walk in the park, but for people living here, they say they have to contend with all forms of stigma.
This is Garden Pen, and I would love it to be garden meadows, garden acres, you know? Give it some other name, because when you go out and you say I'm from Garden Pen, it's like you're being looked down at. That is why I love the song that Etana does about where you come from and all of that, because sometimes you go out there and it shouldn't be about where you're from.
If you go to some places to get a job and you are from Garden Pen, they are not accepting you. I have written recommendation for people and I have to use Elton Park or in some city.
But the people from Taws Meadows, formerly Taws Pen, had mixed reactions to the name of the communities being changed. Although they declined to comment on camera, some say the change of the community's name from Taws Pen to Taws Meadows did not result in a change in their living conditions or the violent label attached to the community. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
In this week's edition of A Ray of Hope, we take a look at a foundation that has given assistance to several grade 11 students preparing for exams at the Haile Selassie High School. TVJ's Anthony Lugg has more.
A ray of hope is brought to you by courts.
Get courts protection in the event of redundancy, accident, flood, or theft.
These 22 students of the Haile Selassie High School, whose parents could not afford to pay the fees for them to sit the Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC exams, had the good fortune of having the fees paid by the San Myrna Foundation. This after the school's principal, realizing the difficulties the students were facing, appealed for help.
These 22 students is students that did well with their grades and students that would love to take their CXC, that they can have their documents to help them in the future, and we decide to step in.
The San Myrna Foundation, headed by brothers Mark and Robert White, has for long partnered with the Haile Selassie High School, giving support to students in need. For Robert White, there is no greater joy than helping through the foundation his company San Myrna Paper Products operates.
You alone cannot do it, and your parents. We all say in the older days that it takes a village to grow a child, which is true. So you all have to respect each other as a student and respect the elders around you, and they will help to guide and shape your future as you go along this path.
Rashid Grant is one of the students whose examination fee was paid by the San Myrna Foundation, and for him it's a gift he never expected. He's been preparing to sit 10 CSEC exams, but his ability to do so was challenged a month ago.
I had a passing in my family with my mom, and it took a toll on me. I'm still trying to recover, but it's very rough. I just got to pass my subjects and make her proud, because that's all she ever pushed me to do.
But despite the passing of his mother, which came on October 19, the day after his birthday, Rashid remains focused.
I'm very grateful, and I just got to put my mind to my work and do my best to make sure that I make all my sponsorship proud and do my best to make my mom proud.
Parents who received support have also expressed sincere gratitude, pointing to the fact that the deadline for the fees to be paid had passed.
And I couldn't manage to pay. I do appreciate Mr. Robert and Mark White for helping me setting this for my son. I couldn't help myself doing it. As you see, I'm in my working clothes and it's still hard on me. I do appreciate what they done, and I know that they've been doing a lot for other people and other kids.
With a ray of hope, I'm Anthony Lugg.
A ray of hope is brought to you by courts.
Get courts protection in the event of redundancy, accident, flood, or theft.
And time now for the responses from our friends on Facebook and Twitter, and Archie is at the smartboard.
Thanks, Lorraine. Here's our question today. We're asking, what's your reaction to the verdict in the Ninjaman murder trial? First comment is from O'Shane Hart, who says, I'm very sad and disappointed, but on a lighter note, I really hope Ninjaman and Vybz Kartel can do a collaboration for the first time in history. Keneal Cole says, the guilty verdict doesn't come as any surprise to me, for my suspicion arose when Mr. Man saw the eyewitness and had a heart attack. Shanika Badley says, justice served. Full time we see some politicians in cuffs found guilty for robbing and enslaving the Jamaican people in debt. And our final comment is from Eric Reed, who says, seriously, I'm not surprised. I believe Ninjaman himself know that a guilty verdict would be handed down to him. Probably that's the reason why he took sick the other day. Keep your comments coming on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/Television Jamaica, and your tweets to @TelevisionJam. Business news and news from overseas after the break.